Well, yeah, let's go ahead and get started. So some quick housekeeping announcements. We will be recording this session, so you'll get a recording within 48 hours. So feel free to sit back and take it all in. And if you want to take notes, that's great. But like I said, you will get a recording within 48 hours from today. Oh, whoops, did I? Yeah, there we go. Okay. Another housekeeping item. So you can feel free to engage with us in the chat. Ara and Luisa from the Apollo team will be there to engage with all of you. I may drop some comments in there as well. But if you do have a question that you'd like to ask during the Q&A portion, please put that in the questions box, and Krishan will hope to make time for all of the questions that we have at the end of the webinar in the question box. And lastly, we did touch on this, but if you want to mute your notifications and not getting any of those sounds, feel free to click that bell button, and that will mute all of the notifications from chat. So today's agenda, we're going to do a quick intro of Apollo.io, who we are, product themes for 2022, some new product features that have recently released, a future feature roadmap, and lastly, we'll have a Q&A section. So again, if you have questions you'd like to ask Krishan, please put those in the question box, and we'll answer those during Q&A. All right, so quickly, Apollo, we hope you all know who we are, but we are the end-to-end sales engine. We are more than just a lead database. We also have a suite of prospecting, engagement, and workflow solutions. And we have over 1 million users with some of our more popular customers here you can see in the box. And without further ado, let me hand it off to Krishan Patel, our VP of Product. Krishan, go ahead and take it over.
Hey everyone, nice to meet you. For those of you that haven't joined one of these before, I think we probably have a lot of people here as well that just religiously join these webinars and are excited to see what's coming up next. So, welcome to all newcomers and welcome to all people that just follow us. I'm our VP of Product at Apollo. Really excited to share with you today a few of the things that we've just shipped in Apollo, a few of the things that are coming up, and love to hear from you a few of the things that you'd like to see in the future. So going into this next slide, there's 3 key themes around what we're building in 2022. One is trying to make sure that we're able to give you best-in-class data. So we have a really unique advantage in the data space compared to our competitors, which is we have this data contributory network that's really large and fueled by our free user base. So we want to use that to make sure that we're supplying you with the largest database, with the greatest depth of information on your prospects and accounts, and the greatest accuracy of emails and phone numbers. The second thing we're focused on is intelligence. So we want to be able to help you, with our AI features to understand what are the key insights around what is blocking you from being able to set more meetings, generate more revenue, and providing you recommendations each step of the way on how you can optimize your processes. And then the third part is around engagement 3.0. So I think we go back and forth around when we call this killer engagement or engagement 3.0. I literally changed that this morning. And I think the theme here is that I think sales engagement went from a 1.0 stage to a 2.0 stage. The moment that the sequence feature was built from companies like Apollo, SalesLoft, Outreach, Reply.io, and so on. But what we're looking to do is elevate the space to go into the realm of sales engagement 3.0, which will go past just working individual contacts, but will go into working accounts, providing you intelligence, automatically optimizing your messaging, and so on. So there's a lot of cool things that we're building on that front, and we'll talk about just a few of them today. So starting off with the recent releases, one of them that probably all of you got an email from me about is buying intent. So this is something that was really important for us, or it was a really important launch for us recently. And the reason why is because one of the core missions that Apollo is on is to provide accessible world-class go-to-market tools to everyone, from companies of all sizes. And as you probably know, buying intent used to be this feature that was only available to companies that had a lot of money to spend, that could spend $20,000 to $30,000 a year for these other solutions that are in the space. So what we've done is we've created a free version of buying intent. And what this is this ability to find and prioritize buyers that are actively researching solutions like yours and understand, what, when, and how often they're expressing interest. So I can actually share my screen really briefly on this one, just to share, help everyone understand what this means. And then Jacob, I'm happy to take over screen share after this too. But let me share my screen.
Sounds good. Let me remove this.
All right, so I think everyone can see my screen. So you should be able to see the buying intent feature. If you go to search and go to filters, there's this buying intent filter now. And you will need to set up your settings. So if you haven't set this up before, there'll be a call to action that will take you to a page like this, where essentially we have 1,600 different potential topics that you can mark as being interested about. And you can choose, which topics you care about for your company. You can select, up to 1, 6, or more than that, depending on your plan. And then also depending on your plan, you'll be able to filter for them. So for example, here I could say, show me companies that are interested in lead capture software and are showing a high intent score. And then, here's people from those companies, and I can hover over this to see when was the the intent signal expressed, how frequently, and over what time period, and so on. So this is one of the major new features that we've launched. Would love to get your feedback on it. If you talk through support and so on. So moving on to some of the next slides here. Let me go back to this slideshow view. So the next major thing that we built recently is still somewhat in beta phase, is calendar scheduling functionality. So I know this has been a major ask for quite a while, which is the ability to share a link with anyone that you're sending an email to and allow them to see your calendar and book time directly on it. And the reason this is important is because it reduces the hassle of going back and forth between emails to try to set up meetings, and reduces the potential drop-off from not going back and forth on emails and so on. So just one snippet here I'll show you from the app is if you go to engage, there's now this meetings tab where you can set up your calendars, share links with people, and actually start booking from that link itself as well. And then the next thing that we worked on recently has to do with deliverability and ensuring that your emails end up in users' inboxes. So what we call this is sequence diagnostics. So what this is a self-serve workflow within the app that'll help you understand, as if it was a customer success manager, how can you improve your deliverability? And what are some of the things that are not set up well in your instance right now that can be fixed? And why this is important is because if you're sending a high volume of emails, but you're not optimizing for deliverability, then your domain reputation can take a hit over time, and your emails will be less likely to end up in your prospect's inbox. So if you're going to be reaching out to 1,000 people, you want to make sure that all 1,000 people get your email. And in order to do so, you need to ensure to keep your domain reputation up to date. So I'll show you this really quickly as well. So where this lives is on our sequences page. We have this button now that says Run Diagnostics, and it'll walk you through a few things. First of all, it'll show you for your domains, are they set up correctly, like SPF, DKIM, DMARC, records, and if not, it'll show you, a little guide around how to get these set up. 2 is it'll check if you are sending very high volume emails, whether you want to, connect with a mass mailing service provider such as SendGrid or Mailgun. 3 is it'll ask you to set up your tracking subdomains if you haven't already. And then 4 is it'll look at your sequences and figure out, for the people you've been reaching out to, are these people, are you reaching out to people with unverified email addresses or people with verified email addresses? And if you are reaching out to people in some of these sequences that have a lot of unverified email addresses, it'll take you to those contacts and allow you to stop them in the sequence and so on. So those are a few of the updates on sequence diagnostics. And again, the goal here is to help you improve your deliverability and maintain a good domain reputation.
Thanks, Christian. Can I hop in really quick?
Mm-hmm.
Just for housekeeping, if everyone could please, in the bottom right of your Livestorm instance here, you'll see a questions box. please add questions there. It helps us answer them and make sure we fully get to sort of give you an answer that people can also refer back to. If it's in chat, we'd like to not take questions in the chat box. You can use chat, but questions and questions. Thank you.
Yeah, great point. And also, sorry, just because I think one person mentioned this is something that hasn't fully shipped to 100% of our users yet. So you may see it already, but you likely will not. This should be shipped to 100% of our users by the end of this month. A few other things coming up soon is follow-up sequences. So this is something that's extremely helpful for account executives or anyone that has a lot of back and forth that they're doing through Gmail. And what this is the ability to take an existing thread in your Gmail and then start automating responses to that existing thread. And why this is important is to prevent people from ghosting you and prevent people from slipping through the cracks if you're not continuously following up. So a use case for this that our team's using already is if an account executive sends an email after a demo to just follow up on scheduling the call and so on, they can add them to a follow-up sequence so that if that person does not respond in 3 days or 5 days or 6 days and so on, they'll start getting responses every 3 days just saying, hey, just wanted to check in on this. Is this something that's still interesting to you? And so on. So pretty casual, but it'll stay within that existing thread so that it'll look like a really natural follow-up from the AE or SDR. Next thing's around LinkedIn automation. So I think this is one of the things that we get asked about all the times in these webinars. So we are in the process of building our LinkedIn automation feature. And what this is the ability to automate and execute LinkedIn tasks in LinkedIn itself and within our task manager. But essentially how this will happen is you'll have a list of LinkedIn tasks and then you will be able to click auto execute and Apollo will go into LinkedIn. It'll open the message for you or open the connect request for you and execute the entire task for you. And then you go on to the next one. So it's not, I do want to caveat here that it's not going to be fully automated in the sense that it will take 100 people and automatically send invites to them or automatically send messages to them. That is illegal. So even though that there are some providers out there that do that, like that is illegal and we will not cross that boundary. But this is, as automated as we could get within, the legal gray area. So the point of this is to reduce the amount of time spent on, LinkedIn tasks such as connects and messages. We're really excited to get this into your hands. So the next thing is a little bit more about intelligence. So this is a feature that we call sequence alerts. And what it does is it'll help you understand when some of your sequences or sequence steps are underperforming and give you recommendations on how to improve the performance. So a common scenario that we see with all of our users is that people might set up a sequence here and there. And at any given moment, they might have 5 or 10 sequences with 5 or 15 steps, all running within those sequences. But after they set off their initial sequence, they don't actually go back and try to figure out how they can improve it. So what we're trying to do is help you understand these are the specific sequences and specific sequence steps optimized on one of these metrics, such as open rate, reply rate, and meeting rate. And here are the specific suggestions of what you should do to this template in order to improve it. So we're incredibly excited about this one because the goal here is to take you from a place where you're setting some meetings already, but being able to help you, iteratively improve that by highlighting when you can optimize and how to optimize your campaigns. The next thing here is around HubSpot CRM enrichment. So as some of you know, we have a feature for Salesforce CRM enrichment. And what this does is if you have mapped your fields to your CRM, then we will make sure that those fields are always populated anytime a new record is added to your CRM. Historically, this has only been a feature that's available for Salesforce, but we are launching this for HubSpot. It should be complete within the next month or so. So I know this has been long awaited for a lot of our HubSpot users, and we're really excited to get this into your hands. 2 more things, and these are more on the data side of the house. So one is we are dramatically improving our international phone number coverage. And to give some context here, International phone numbers have not been something that we've focused on too much for the past few years. But we have found a way to improve our international phone numbers by 20% in terms of coverage. So we should be at par or better than most competitors when it comes to international phone numbers. So once we do release this, we would love for anyone that does need this international data to try this out. Try it out against competitors or existing solutions that you're using already. We're extremely excited about the coverage and the quality that we were able to bring you here. And then the last thing around data is we're also shipping a few things that should help us improve our email accuracy. And to give you some ideas here, one of the things that helps us build our database and make sure that we have an accurate database is because Apollo is something that's used not just for data, but is used for sales engagement as well. So something that we're implementing is ensuring that as our users send millions of emails every week with Apollo, we're using that to check whether or not emails in our database are accurate or not. So we should be able to see around a 1 to 2% reduction in bounce rate, once we have improved this. But yeah, just something that we're continuously trying to improve. So what's next on the product roadmap? There's a few things here. A few core things I'll talk about, and then there's a few that we won't talk about. But one is working on intelligent engagement. So similar to that sequence alerts feature that you've seen, we're working on other things that really maximize the power and efficiency that you can get out of each SDR leader, and so on. And how we want to do that is by automatically showing you things like if you're running an A/B test, we can figure out which one's the winner and automatically select it for you. Or if you're running an A/B test and one of them has a better open rate and one of them has a better reply rate, then we can automatically create that third split test variant for you that will maximize your open rate while maximizing your reply rate and so on. So there's a lot of different things we're trying to do here, as well as tying in our data a little bit more to our sales engagement tool, so that if we recognize that within a certain sequence, you're having a lot of success with people that look like one set of criteria, we can suggest to you 100 more people to add that we expect you to set 5 meetings with based on previous success rates and so on. So a lot of exciting things coming up here on sales engagement. 2 is Data Health Center. So what this is it's the ability to connect your CRM, and we'll automatically figure out how much stale data you have and how much unenriched data you have, and be able to schedule this to automatically clean itself up every single month. The third thing is Salesforce App Exchange integration. So this is already in beta. So if you are interested in it, reach out. We're happy to add you to the beta phase. But this is essentially the ability to get all of the 360-degree research that you get within Apollo, but directly within Salesforce through a native integration. So you'll have an Apollo tab within Salesforce itself and be able to see all the information you'd want in there. And then the fourth thing is Apollo for recruiters. So we realize Apollo's heavily used right now by recruiters that are trying to find candidates and reach out to them, through their personal emails. So we are starting to improve some of our filters to support recruiters, such as filters that will help you identify people that have had X number of years of experience at a company, or went to a certain university or gotten a certain degree, and so on. And this can be used, is primarily for recruiters, but this can also be used by salespeople for personalization in their emails, talk tracks, and so on. So those are all the things that we'll talk about today. There's definitely more that we're working on that's a little bit under the wraps right now. So be on the lookout. We'll definitely be emailing you whenever any of these updates come out. But yeah, those are some of the things that we're working on right now, and excited to hand it back to Jacob. If you want to share your screen again, we're happy to move into questions.
Yes, 1 second. So one of the questions that is coming up is around intent data. So I think there was questions around the topics and industries covered by intent data. If you can maybe speak more to what's coming in the future for intent data.
Yeah, definitely. So right now we have 1,600 topics covered by intent data. And these were all topics that were provided to us by the partner that we're working with, which is Foundry, that provides us with this third-party intent data. If you would like certain topics that are outside of the realm that currently exist, the right way to try to request those would be letting our support team know. We are collecting a lot of the topics that, and the reasons that people would like to see on there. And then we'll be basically working from the top. So, the reasons that get requested the most, or the categories that get requested the most, are the ones that we'll start, working with our partner to try to bring into the app as well.
Awesome. Thank you, Krishan. So one other question is with regard to email diagnostics and warm-up. So as part of the sequence diagnostics or in the future, is there an email warm-up feature that will be included in that?
Yeah, great question. So email warmup is not part of sequence diagnostics. It is a different feature that we are looking to build right now. It's not included in this presentation because it might take a little bit longer. So it might take, say, 3 to 6 months. But we are definitely looking into building mail warming within Apollo.
Awesome. Thank you. And then I'm not sure if you touched on this with respect to the intent data topics, but is industry something we'll be expanding as well along with the topics?
So right now, all of the topics are basically categories. So an industry can be a category, but it depends. So for example, like sales enablement software is a category that you could count as industry. So I need to hear a little bit more around like what you're expecting to see there when you say industry. But yeah, right now we kind of count industries and categories as the same thing.
Got it. Okay.
I have a question for Jacob.
Yes.
I've seen in the chat. Jacob, tell us how Apollo compares to Outreach. I know Jacob's done research, so that's why I'm asking him.
Well, Apollo is much better than Outreach. Let me just start with that. But the reasons behind that is because we're much more than just a sales engagement platform, right? We have the largest, most accurate B2B database. So having that tied in with our engagement suite, which is essentially on par with the features that you would get with Outreach, you're basically getting 2 for 1. So you get the ability to prospect, target with precision down to your ideal customer, and then immediately in the same tool, begin engaging with them, setting them up in a sequence. You can use the dialer to connect with them. And then along with all of our other workflows and automations, we essentially do what Outreach does, plus a whole lot more with a single tool, and often for less cost too. So that's my 2 cents on Apollo versus Outreach.
One other thing I'll add on to that on Outreach is that we also, one of the most important things in a sales engagement platform is the ability to test creating a repeatable process to set meetings. And with Outreach, SalesLoft, Apollo, any sales engagement provider, you can see what's your open rate, what's your call connect rate, what's your reply rate, meeting rate, and so on. But one thing Apollo does is we enrich all of your analytics using our database so that you can understand what does your open rate and reply rate and meeting rate look like for large companies versus small companies, or people in persona 1 versus people in persona 2, and connect rate and so on. So that while you're optimizing your entire repeatable process, you're not just optimizing for messaging within a vacuum, you're optimizing for messaging and targeting combined, because that's really what it takes to set meetings.
Great points. Great points. Thank you, Krishan. Getting some more questions coming in the question box. How has Apollo been able to improve their international phone numbers, and especially against other competitors?
Yeah, so one of the things that makes Apollo's data so strong is the fact that we have a free plan where we have data contributors on our free plan that in exchange for data will do things like link their CRM, link their email addresses, and so on. And this is how we've gotten really strong data in the US, both in terms of coverage and accuracy, is by doing things like looking at email signatures of people that might be in your mailbox and so on our free plan to be able to identify, just their contact information. And historically, we've only done this for the US. We have not done this internationally at all. And the reason why is because there's just different parsing mechanisms you need to use, different verification mechanisms, and so on. But we will now be doing this for all international phone numbers as well. So we already did some analysis to see what the coverage increase would be, and it was an increase of 20%, and that's on a per point basis. So out of all the contacts in our database, now around 40% of them internationally should have phone numbers.
Awesome, thank you. And we're getting close to time, so maybe just one quick one. Here's a good one. One thing I try to do is send emails evenly from various mailboxes. When will we be able to see reports of, say, any scheduled email by mailbox, not just by user?
Yeah, that's a good question, because I think right now we've done something to build that ability within our email tool itself, just not within reporting. So I'll share my screen really quick to share what that looks like. So can you see? Yeah, you can see this. So
yes.
Within the email tab itself, that's when you can look at actual messages per mailbox. We are planning to add this into our analytics, but it'll probably be within the next 3 to 6 months. One other thing that I'll share, just while we're on this topic though, is I'm not sure how many people here use Rules Engine, but this is a tool that is incredibly helpful, because you can start creating rules, such as saying, for us, for example, anytime, every day, check whoever meets this criteria, add them into the sequence, and round robin it between these 5 people. And if these 5 people have 5 mailboxes each, rotate their mailbox. So that way you don't have to add, you don't have to do 25 clicks to add, these contacts from into 5 different users, 5 different emails every single day. This will just automatically run as well. So this rotate mailbox feature within the Rules Engine, something I'd highly recommend if you do use multiple mailboxes per user.
Awesome. Thank you, Krishan. Super helpful. Well, everyone, thank you so much for joining. Unfortunately, we weren't able to get to all of your questions, but we will try to answer as many of them as we can by following up. Thank you again for having us. You can, again, we are Apollo. Sorry about that. And if you're new to Apollo, you can start a free trial and take Apollo for a test drive. And if you're already on Apollo, you can check out our plans, view our pricing. If you need to upgrade, we'll work with you on that. Again, thank you for your time. We would love to hear your feedback. So I'm dropping a form in the chat if you would like to fill that out and provide us feedback on how we can improve this, how useful this was for you. Again, we will send out a recording within the next 48 hours. But again, thank you so much for your time today. Thank you for joining us. All right. Take care, everyone. Bye.
Thanks, everyone.